Thanks to the support as a channel member, All Stars United SC. Here we go then, folks. We are a championship football club. It's an absurd thing to say about Wembley FC. We've been given a little bit of money to spend, nowhere near as much as everybody else in this league, but somehow we need to assemble a squad that can stay in this division. Easy peasy. Hello and welcome to part 115 of Wembley to Wembley. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, it is our season review and transfer special ahead of our first ever season in the Championship. As you can see, we're starting things off with the season review, a season that involved winning this little beauty, the Sky Bet League One trophy. We are the champions, etc, etc. Let's see who our signing of the season was. And I mean, you can't really argue. Gary Rose, we brought him in thinking he was going to be a future Premier League player. We were a little bit disappointed when my coaches thought he was Bobbins. Turns out my scouts might have been right after all. 41 appearances, a 7.1 average rating from centre-back. He is awesome. He's already worth... I mean, if we were to sell him, we'd get £1 million plus for him at this point. 4 stars of current ability, 5 stars of potential. He might become a championship player one day. I mean, he's going to become a championship player now. We're definitely not going to be moving him on. Slocum is another one who came in and was great. And in fact, we've given him a very expensive new contract to be our starting goalkeeper in the championship. We're showing faith in our boys. That is the most expensive contract in the history of this football club. And several other key players. I mean, Seb Scholes very quickly then took over with the new most expensive contract in the history of the football club. I figure stuff like this at this level is a no-brainer. Seb Scholes has played in the Championship before. He's only 29 years old. Yes, £5,500 a week is a lot of money, but we don't want to lose him. And the increased money means that eventually we'll be able to sell him for a lot. I wouldn't be at all surprised if this time next year we're selling a 30-year-old Seb Scholes for £2 million. And that just seems like an absolute no-brainer. So, of course, these boys get new contracts. Tashan Septus is going to be great as well. It was a really good summer. If we have half as good a summer again this time around, we'll be absolutely fine. We were supposed to avoid relegation, and we won the league with ease. Too right, it's an A+. 97 points, 17 points clear of second place Charlton. And we even half filled the stadium all season as well. Over 3,000 people coming in to see little old Wembley play an hour away from home every week. What a delight. We had some lovely big wins along the way. What we didn't have this season was money. Obviously, we didn't have any kind of cup run. We were knocked out of all 3 cups very, very early. So it did give us a little bit of a hit, mainly to competition prize money. I mean, to be fair, sponsorship's up. Broadcast revenue didn't really change. Corporate and hospitality and actual match day income are both up because of the increased performance in the league. It's just the competition prize money we missed out on. It is absurd that we're a championship club that don't even sell 1,000 shirts a year. That's hopefully something that we can fix at some point. We seriously need some proper grown-up sponsorship as well. We're going to be in a league now. I mean, I don't know if they got promoted or not. We're potentially now in the same league as Manchester United, and I suspect they make more than £96,000 a year from sponsorship. So we do need to find some additional sources of income from somewhere. This was our team of the year, Slocum in goal. Slocum averaging a 7.09. I was a little harsh on him at times. That's probably the best average rating any goalkeeper in the history of this save has had. And it was very much a team that was built on this excellent defence that we put together. I'd love to bring Neil Edwards in permanently if it's possible. He's been here on loan the last 2 years and has been great. Scholes and Rose we've already talked about. And obviously Dan Berry was someone who we very nearly lost back in January, but ended up getting tied down to a longer term deal. 11 assists. Is a very useful contribution to the team from him as well. So that's obviously the back four. And then Nkatha and Whitmore in midfield, Fenty, Shehu and Bunce behind Swaby up front. It kind of picks itself. It's very rare for a Kev team to have all the best players playing at the back though. If we can find a 30-goal-a-season striker, we're heading for the Premier League. I cannot believe in this world I'm now 57 years old. That is terrifying. Player of the Year, Young Player of the Year, both going to Gary Rose, along with signing of the season. Top scorer was Swaby with 18 goals. It's the best season he's had in his career. We're probably not going to be against moving him on. He's 31 now. Spent his entire career playing in League One for Charlton. It's unlikely at 31 years old he's going to be ready to make the step up to the Championship. 18 goals was handy for us, but a 6.9 average rating suggests he's probably not a Championship level player. So we'll probably look to cash in on him, get $250,000 in for him if we can, and try and bring in somebody to take the proper goal scoring mantle from him. Berry got most assists, Edwards most man of the matches, Rose top average rating, and we also broke some club records. So Swaby, despite only getting 18 goals over the course of the season, has broken the record for goals in a match and goals in a league match, scoring 4 goals in 1 match. Slocum breaks the record for clean sheets, 22 clean sheets. And Fenton Fenlon, £85,000, the biggest transfer fee we've ever received. I think we probably break that this summer. We're in the land of big money now. We love big money. So let's finish that. This is the all-time best 11. So let's catch up on what these guys are doing. So Perini, who of course was our goalkeeper a long time, went to Preston to sit on their bench. And I think they've been relegated. His 21st relegation? No, they just survived. So he'll be a backup keeper in our league next year. Chadder and Gray, we know, are both retired. James Wiles, I barely remember. Oh, he's only 30 and he's retired as well. He was playing for us down in non-league alongside Leo Young, who I do remember. The one with the spectacles at 34. He's still playing regularly for Biggleswade down in non-league. Sean Martin, still going at 33 years old, playing for Wellingborough Whitworth alongside Murray in midfield, who was briefly our captain, if I recall. He's now playing for Coleraine in Northern Ireland, having left us. And then on the left, it's Scanlon, who I was a little bit upset to let go last summer. Went to Shamrock Rovers, not really played. Tom Best, of course, on the right-hand side. And in fact, we should have led with this. Tom Best news. He is now the assistant manager of Wembley FC. I don't even remember if I told you or not that after his year as the under-21s manager, he was a first-team coach last year. And we've now bumped him up to assistant manager. He's got much better attributes than the assistant manager we had before. He's studying for his Continental A license, so he's just behind me in the coaching qualifications. I'm now studying for my Continental Pro, I want to say. Yeah, I'm studying for my Continental Pro. So I'm grooming Tom Best to be the next Wembley manager. At some point, FM24 is going to come out and I'm going to have to retire. And when that happens, I really want Tom Best to take over as manager. I think it would be the most perfect thing that's ever happened in a save of mine. And then making up the rest of the Dream 11, it's Scowen, who is now also retired. And of course, Anton Canerva, who retired a long time ago. And it really does say a lot about the strikers we've had over the years, that Anton Canerva, who was never even really the nailed-on starter for us and retired as a player at 23, he's still the best striker in the history of the club. Goodness me, we're 17 seasons in? Can we just get a really good striker that's ours? We've had some good ones in on loan. We've never really had a real top striker that was ours. I would like one, please. We've already done the Where Are We Now stuff. We're going to get some solidarity pennies from League One, which is very welcome, although doesn't get us out of our overdraft, which is very alarming. And with the couple of contracts I've already renewed, we're already starting to eat up some of this wage budget as well. So I imagine there's going to be more contract renewals as the summer goes on, and they're all going to be wanting this sort of £5,000 a week range that Championship players expect as their minimum. It's going to be a challenge. If we look at players whose contracts are expiring, obviously we've got a lot of trialists in. These, I think this is no, they're not the youth trialists. Who on earth are these guys? I don't even know who these guys are. I don't remember bringing them in. Do you know these guys? Why are they all 28, 29 years old? Who the hell are they? Who are these people? I don't think I've done a round of trials already. Player trials. I haven't even taken any trials. Who the hell are they? Lads, who on earth are you? I don't know who those players are or where they've come from. I've never known that happen in Football Manager before in my life. It's just a bunch of trash that has just turned up, never having played for anyone else before. Yeah, I don't. If anyone can explain that in the comments, please feel free. What I was trying to do was identify the players who are out of contract this summer. Obviously, the loans are all going to be going back. Westlake at 32, we'd probably let his contract run out. Halkett's our backup keeper. Dawson's another backup keeper. We let those contracts run out. We've got a couple of guys who are out on loan, D'Souza and Shaw. We're going to let those contracts run out. So realistically, there's not many contracts there that we're going to need to renew. It's going to be the guys who are like, come on, Kev, I probably deserve a pay rise. Someone like, I don't know, as an example, Fenty, who's a pretty important player for us, only on £1,600 a week. He's got a year left on his contract, but he's probably going to ask for a pay rise. And we're going to have a lot of players like Spunts is obviously, he's going to look at the fact that our keeper's now earning £5,000 a week and know that that makes him worth 8. And we just can't do too many of those contract renewals. So it's going to be a challenging summer, but at least we've already got the core of the squad in place. And now we just need to get ourselves through to the 1st of July without using up all of the rest of our money so that we can then bring in some free transfers. We have already got some Premier League youngsters lined up to come in. So we'll meet them when they arrive and see what we can come up with as a plan from there. How much TV money do we get at this level? Are we going to get a big pile of cash for being in the Championship? I don't really know how the money works. Do we get it at the start of the season or do we get... I kind of want it at the start of the season, please. Money needed. What's the minimum salary? Okay, we're fine with the minimum salary. Oh, FFP works differently here as well. We can start making a loss. Shall we go bananas? I don't think the board are going to let me go bananas. So we've got our Premier League youngsters in it. It looks like one of them's really quite good. Look at this guy, Charlie Christodoulou. He's a central midfielder who can also play attacking midfield out on the right-hand side. I mean, really, we probably need to be training this guy to play in the defensive midfield roles that we use. He's a tough tackling central midfielder. 3.5 stars of current ability already, 4 stars of potential. This is a good player. In from Arsenal. In fact, we're going to immediately have him training to play as a defensive midfielder. There you go. Do that. Yes, we'll take control of his individual training. Let's have a look at the other guys. So John Henderson is a left winger. He's got 2 stars of current ability. It's not ready for the first team yet. There's a few players ahead of him in the pecking order. But he comes in from Norwich, another 17-year-old. Sean Carroll is a centre-back, 6'3". I think he was only 6'2" when we originally planned to sign him. A natural libero. Look at us going full-on Premier League. We've got a 6'3" centre-back with 15 passing. Ignore the fact you can't really head the ball. You can teach a boy to head. You can't teach a normal defender to become a libero, though. So this is very exciting times. He's 18, 2 Irish under-21 caps already. He comes in from Chelsea. Josh Phillips is another left winger. Only 5'4", so we need to give him some growing juice. He comes in from Crystal Palace. And then Dylan Gray is an 18-year-old Welsh under-19 international striker who's come in with an enormous value. 6 feet tall and not massively... I mean, he's very round, quite a well-rounded striker. Comes in from Liverpool and could go on to be a bit of a goal-scoring superstar for us. We just need to treat him right and give him time. Let's give them some squad numbers, welcome them all into the club, and then we'll see what those signings have done to our already precarious financial situation, because we have also given some new contracts out to some players who are demanding them. We've also got a potential predicament that I'll show you about in a second. My director of football is trying to get me a right back in. We'll scout him. We'll see if he's any good. No, in fact, he's not a right back. He's a defensive midfielder from Wickham. I mean, we'll scout him and we'll see if he's any good. Yeah, do that. Yeah, do that. But the predicament we've got is these two boys, Dan Berry and Gary Rose, as part of their contract renewals that they got in January, insisted that I promised I'd improve the training facilities. It was the only way to get them to sign at the time. So I did it. The problem we've got now is we didn't do it. We've not got the money to do it. And they're now unhappy. We've promised them, don't worry, it'll be done within a year. But the problem with that is that they're now going to be officially unhappy for a year, which means they won't discuss a new contract. So Dan Berry has now got himself a low release clause again, at only £1 million. Gary Rose has got a slightly longer contract, but his release clause only 550,000, and we've got no way to give them new contracts to get rid of those release clauses. They're two key players who, at this level, if they prove themselves in the Championship, are obviously worth a lot more than those release clauses would indicate. I mean, Rose is already above his £550,000 value. So yes, £1.5 million would be very welcome, but they're two players who are going to be tough to replace. And there's a very good chance we're going to lose them, if not this summer, then in January, just because we're not going to have the money to be able to keep them. Can we have... We'll try and increase that. I don't think it's going to help. We've already asked about improving the training facilities. The board aren't interested. So we've got a bit of a problem. But it's 12th of June. We've got 3 weeks until the transfer window opens. And those new boys, by and large, slotting straight in. Chris Dodulu's now the best attacking midfielder we've got. He's not listed on the defensive midfielders yet, but that's what we're going to make him. And then the new striker, who is Dylan Gray, in the mix. I think there's some good signings. We don't have a lot of money left. If we're spending $4 or $5 grand a week on players, realistically, we're going into the 1st of July, probably only able to sign one unless we sell someone. We need a backup keeper. They're not going to be too expensive. But we don't really have a second left back. And with Berry potentially leaving, we probably need to invest there. We don't really have a starting right back with Edwards going back to his parent club. Salucci might be able to compete with Scholes this season at centre back, so that's a positive. And obviously, we've got the new boy to compete in midfield as well. We probably need an attacking midfielder. Shehu, only 2 stars at League One level. Probably need to get someone in who's a little bit better than him. And obviously, we want a striker as well. But in order to fund a striker, I'm not against letting Swaby go if someone offers us money for him. So there's some potential shenanigans to come. Let's see how we get on, I guess. We've said shenanigans. We've made it through to the 1st of July, so a few contracts expiring have left the club. The most significant, I guess, Charlie De Souza, who has left the club after being here quite a long time. I mean, he was a first team regular for us for 3 years, but lost his place last year and never really looked like he was going to make it back again. So he is gone. We're trying to get some new scouts in because our scouts are rubbish, although our coaching setup, is one of the best in the Championship. We've got the best in the league for a lot of these areas. We could do with a new set piece coach. And we've also promised our new star boy, Chris Dodulu, I need to learn his name, that we're going to get better coaches. So thankfully, we've got a spare spot for coaches, although frankly, we've got the best in the Championship. So I don't know what they're whinging about, but we'll hopefully be able to keep him happy. Money-wise, going into the 1st of July, we don't really have any. We're trying to bring in a backup goalkeeper. If he comes in, then we'll be over our budget. Josh Hill might be on his way out, but yeah, this might be the squad we go with very little being done to it, which would be alarming to say the least. Obviously, there's a few fringe players we could loan out. There's a few players we're trying to get rid of as well. But we definitely need a backup goalkeeper. At left back, I mean, if Berry's starting, which obviously he will be, we've got a few players who can deputise for him, but nobody you'd feel that confident about as a starter. I mean, maybe Josh Phillips needs to train to play. Josh Phillips is going to train to play left back. 3 tackling. That's my kind of left back. So let's get him getting good at playing that role. Because none of the rest of these are left backs, really. These are all centre backs. Weirdly, Seb Scholes is being described as a ball-winning midfielder as his best position. I'm fairly confident it's not, but that is interesting as an option to use him in. In central defence, I guess it's going to be Rose plus one of Salucci or Scholes. They're both left-footers. He's a right-footer. But we might be on the verge of losing Rose because of that tiny release clause, which is going to be problematic. We have transfer listed George Squire, who is our best right-back, really. But it's best of a poor bunch. Obviously, we had Edwards in last 2 years on loan, and we definitely need to be exploring the loan market again. Hill is likely to go out on loan. Squire hopefully will go permanently. And Jamie Shaw, hopefully we can get out on loan as well. And then we don't really have a right back. So right back is definitely an area of priority. We've got Nkatha, Westlake and Whitmore as our defensive midfielders. We need at least one more, although obviously Christodoulou is a player I've got in mind to play back there as well. So that should be enough for that position. But that does then leave us with a vacancy in attacking midfield. Fraser Fenty has signed a new contract on not very much money, so that's exciting. But he's not likely to start in here. Neither is Swaby. I mean, it might be Holder. Holder came in several years ago now. He's had a few loans. Maybe he's ready to step up into the first team. Obviously, we've been playing Shehu there, but I think we probably do need an attacking midfielder who is of a slightly higher standard. Up front, Swaby might well stay. I suspect he won't make the step up. So it's more likely to be Fenty, maybe Septus, who it's still only 19 years old, getting better all the time, very quick. He could end up being that striker. We never really played him up front last year. But that's not to say we can't play him up front. We've obviously got Regan and Dylan Gray as well, who's come in this summer. And then in the wide areas, we've got plenty of talent. On the left, it could be any one of Fenty, Duffy, Septus, Bunce. And we've got the youngsters, Phillips and Henderson, who've come in this summer. And then on the right, it's not going to be Christodoulou. He'll be playing somewhere else, but it could be Fenty, Bunce, Regan. Gray can play out there. Shehu can play out there. So we've got some decent attacking talent. I think if we're only able to get a couple this summer, assuming nobody leaves, we need a right back and an attacking midfielder. And then assuming Rose leaves, which he almost certainly will because of his low release clause, we're then going to need at least one more centre-back as well. And obviously we need the goalkeeper because we've only got one at the club. So there's a plan. It's just how much of the plan we can do permanently and how much of it we're going to have to rely on free loans again, which I hope we wouldn't have to do. We've managed to use up all of our new wage budget without really signing anyone, which is not ideal. The media think we're going to finish bottom, obviously. But we were 17 points ahead of Charlton last year. So what do the media know? But we are in a league with some big money knocking around now. It looks like Manchester United did get promoted. So we're not yet in the same league as Manchester United, but we're in the league that Manchester United got promoted from last year, which is interesting. We're above the likes of Nottingham Forest in the league now. What a time to be alive. Let's get some trialists in. Well, this summer is proving to be quite tricky. It's already the 18th of July. We've not done a huge amount. We have shipped out some of the fringe players. We've also sold Joe Westlake for 160,000, which I think is a good piece of business. The only first teamer we've signed is Max Howard, who, to be fair, I think is going to score a lot of goals for us in that advanced forward role. Yes, he's 32, turns 33 this season, but he's still relatively quick. He's still a good finisher. He's been at Millwall forever, playing in the Championship. They paid nearly £4 million to bring him in from Bolton many years ago, but he's been a Championship player for 10 years, always scoring in the kind of 10 to 15 goal a season range, and that's not in one of my teams. This guy could get 25 goals for us if we use him right. So he is in, and we got a backup keeper who realistically is going to be the third choice keeper. We probably still need to bring another goalkeeper in, and that's used up all the money. Oh, that has used up all of the money. Let's just get the other guys off the shortlist so we can have a proper look at the squad planner and see just what the situation is. Obviously, we've not started looking at loans yet, but we need another midfielder. We need another right back. We're nicely covered at striker now. Swaby's still here. I think he'll be fine rotating with Howard. They're both obviously old, not long-term solutions, but Septus might be the long-term solution. Dylan Gray might be the long-term solution. So I think we're fine up front. I'd still like an attacking midfielder. Obviously, Christodoulou can drop in and play there once he eventually masters playing that role. He's still only a competent defensive midfielder at the moment, but to my mind, that's his role. That's where he's going to be playing for us. He's not much of a marker, but he kicks hard, and we do like it when they kick hard. Maybe we'll make him a Segundo Volante. I don't really know what one is. Should we use a Segundo Volante, boys and girls? But priority really is right back. We don't have anyone to play there. There is not a right back at the club currently. So we need to go and get at least one, ideally two. I wonder if Edwards is available for loan again. Right. It's been a long time since we've done any shenanigans on this screen, but I think needs must shenanigans incoming. Because firstly, a £1.5 million bonus in the Championship is bonkers. But secondly, if we lower that, we can get a transfer budget of 725,000, which we can then stick into wage budget, which we really need. So we're going to do that. It now goes into wage budget, or it's into transfer budget. So theoretically, we can now move. Okay, because we're still trying to sign a player, we can't move it just yet. But we should be able to move it very soon. We have signed a couple of new players. Hayden Castles has come in on a free transfer. He's an everything midfielder, just because we needed an extra body in there. He's previously of Chelsea and most recently Sheffield Wednesday, where he was on loan at Stockport in League Two last season. James Palmer is a 30-year-old right back. We have our starting right back. He was playing for Blackpool last year as a reserve in the Championship, but spent the majority of his career as a Championship reserve between Blackpool and Ipswich, similar to what we did with Swaby last year. He's going to be a starter at 30 years old. Basically, it's either that kind of player or kids is what we're looking at. And then we've got Joseph Yahaya, who's a 21-year-old on loan from Norwich for the season. Lots of potential. He's another right back, can also play centre back or at a push left back as well, which actually gives us a little bit of strength in depth there. The other guy we're trying to bring in is a backup left back on loan. So fingers crossed we get those guys in. Are we able to? No, these are all clauses we could buy. We don't want to buy clauses. So hopefully he comes in, then we can move this, if I can get hold of it, then we can move that into there, which should be worth loads of money. And then we should theoretically be able to do some more business, one would think. Well, that little piece of transfer shenanigans might be the greatest stroke of genius in the save so far, because it's opened the door to some new players coming in. So Conor McBride, an actual current Irish or previous Irish international, 25 years old, 2 caps for Ireland. He's a natural 6'5" centre back. Oh, love it. But he's also natural at left back, so he can be the backup left back as well. I don't know how this 6'5" right footer is a natural left back. I'm choosing not to argue. Obviously, he's going to be a centre back for us. Look at that value he's come in with. He was previously of Arsenal and Portsmouth, was on loan at Bristol Rovers last year, played 37 games in the league we were in. Very happy with him. Suspect he might score 1 or 2 goals from set pieces with 17 jumping reach and 14 heading. And we've also brought in an experienced partner for him. Obviously, we've still got Rose and several other defenders, Scholes, Salucci, but one more defender just in for a year. We've done this from time to time throughout the save. Get an old man in, and they're a little bit cheaper. Zach Abbott, previously of Wimbledon, never really played very much at this level, but star rating wise, he's right up there with Rose, McBride as our best defenders. So figured worth bringing him in as well. We want to build a strong defence again this season, and we've also signed a 22-year-old midfielder, Kamani Dixon. He's natural at defensive midfield and central midfield, can also cover at centre-back as well, and he is 6'6", and you can't teach that. We've got the big boys in again, boys and girls. It's been a while. He's been brought in because he's excellent at playing this anchor role, and I've got a plan. There is a plan hatching. We're doing tactics. I think this guy is going to be a superstar, and in order to get the best out of him, bearing in mind he wants to be an attacking midfielder, but he's a tackler, we're going to play him as a segundo volante. And alongside him, Dixon as an anchor. Dixon's not match fit. That's why Nkatha's in there today. And then Castles, who's our new best attacking midfielder, wants to be an enganche. I don't really know what that is. I think that's just a guy who kind of just stands there and creates stuff. A bit like a trequartista that doesn't drift from position is my understanding of it. Whereas he's going to bomb on further forward, but still get the tackles in, still be a creative force as well. And the guy here will just stand there and protect these guys. That's the thinking. It's a risk, tactically fiddling, especially using roles I've not used a lot in the past. But you know what? We're in the Championship now. Let's get fancy. There's potentially one more guy coming in as well. We're just waiting for a work permit on a Montenegrin international right winger / striker. Look at the amount of goals this boy scores. I mean, it's the reincarnation of Tom Best. Tom Best is not dead, but that's his reincarnation. And with him in as well, this squad really does start to look pretty good. I'm getting pretty happy with what we've got. If we go through position by position, obviously there's a lot of loanies still knocking around the place, but Slocum as starting keeper. We still need a backup. Loans can fill that job. At left back, we've got Berry as the starter. McBride can be his backup. Scholes, Salucci, lots of players who can cover at left back. Ideally, we'd get another natural left back in, but financially, Probably not going to be able to, are we? At right back, we've got Palmer, who's obviously just come in. Yahaya, who's coming on loan as well. Those two will fight it out for that position. And then we've got so much depth at centre back now. McBride, Rose, Salucci, Scholes. Plenty of options back at centre back. Zach Abbott, of course, who've just come in as well. At defensive midfield, so the two defensive midfield roles as our anchor. We could go with Whitmore. We could go with Scholes. We could go with Nkatha. I don't know why Dixon's not showing up on there, but we could go with Dixon. Why is Dixon all the way down there? There you go. We just needed to shuffle that around. So we could go with Dixon. We probably will go with Dixon. On the other side, obviously, we go with Christodoulou. We've built the system to make it work for him. But we've still got Whitmore, who's still only 23. Dixon and Nkatha could both cover over there as well. And then you've still got the likes of Scholes, Castles, who can provide cover if need be. Castles is the guy who's going to be in behind the forwards. But there's plenty of players around the squad who can do that role. Up top, you've got Howard as a starter, Swaby as a perfectly adequate deputy, and loads of youngsters to compete and force their way in. And then on the left, you could go Fenty, Duffy, Septus, loads of talent over there. On the right, you've got Fenty, you've got Bunce, Tanjo, who's about to sign once he gets his work permit. So many options. The media probably still think we're going to get relegated. Yeah, they do. We'll see, is what I say to the media. We shall see. Bournemouth's probably going to be quite a hard game tomorrow, isn't it? How good are Bournemouth? Bournemouth expected to be in with a chance of promotion, and we're away from home as a newly promoted team. We're going to learn a lot in the next episode, methinks. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.